everyone. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and thank you all for coming. So today I'm going to talk about Malleable software and how with the power of AI and the tools we currently have, we can take the vision that people had for years to the next level. So a few more words about me. I work on open source at the Guild, primarily in the GraphQL ecosystem. You can find me on Twitter and reach out to me. As Aleksandra says, you can also check out my personal website, aleksandra.codes. So we'll cover a bunch of topics today. We'll talk about the current state of applications, what could we have, what does malleable mean, and we're also going to talk about how to give agency to people and how to use AI to do so. So, as you might all know, we live in the world of apps. Like from the moment we wake up till we go to bed, we are surrounded by countless of applications that are supposed to make our lives easier. And we have also like plenty of apps that do basically the same with somewhat different UI. Like we have multiple applications to listen to music to. We have multiple applications for social media. For example, I have more than one app where I track my workouts. And I have even multiple ones for the same activity for the gym. And I use it depending on what I currently need because certain apps make certain functionalities easier. And it's quite annoying. Like I have to think about it, which one to choose. I have to sync it. It's taking time. And at many, many points, I was extremely, I was very close to creating my own gym app. And I even have a pitch somewhere that I run through my personal trainer. But like the problem with that is that that would be yet another application. And the only person in the world that this app would be perfect for would be just me. And another example, there are so many to-do applications out there, and I still can't find my favorite one. Like I can still find one that I would like to stick to. And again, I could build it myself and I could waste a weekend of my life, and so could you. But not everyone can do so. Like not everyone has skills or resources, and what's most important, not everyone has the time to build their favorite to-do application. So we usually talk at these conferences about building apps, how to ship fast, what tech to use. But today I instead want to invite you to talk about the core of app design and maybe challenge some of the existing assumptions. So my first question for you to think about it is how can we build software that suits everyone? How can we possibly create, for example, to-do application that meets the needs of as many people as possible? Here's the answer: we can't. There's no way one app satisfies everyone. That's why I want to talk to you today about malleable applications. And even though the concept of malleable applications is not new, it's been there for many, many years, I think that conversations about it were never as relevant and as exciting as right now. And like the whole idea of malleable software is never as close to us as it is right now. So firstly, what do I even mean by malleable? Well, malleable in this context means something like a piece of software that can be reshaped, repurposed. It could be modified by end users to fit their needs. So maybe I could only have one gym application or workout application that I could customize to have exactly the functionalities I want, to behave exactly how I want, and to look how I would want it to look. And all of that, assuming that I don't fork the code and I don't change the code. And in other words, it's about empowerment and giving people agency to use software how they really want, instead of giving them predefined applications. So going to the problem I mentioned before, why can't I find a perfect to-do app? Well, the root of this issue is in generalization. Like we get predefined apps. We get something that a CEO or a product manager envisioned, and we are limited by what they wanted. We are limited by who they wanted to serve. And there might have been like a user experience research, but there are two issues. Like firstly, that research can't cover everyone. And secondly, it will still be generalized to majority. And those apps, they aim for a vast market fit. And if you think about it, this is a reasonable goal to have. Like when we are building applications, we would want as many people as possible to use it. But what does it mean for end users? Like what does it mean for us, for people who actually use those products? Well, it means that we'll get an app that is just okay, like nothing special. It's not perfect. It's not perfectly suited for our needs. So here's the thing, like we inherently desire control, especially over our personal environments. And that gives us satisfaction from work and space for creativity. Because like when we have tools that we like using and if they work how we want them to work, we now don't have to fight with them. We can actually focus on more important stuff. And we've been trying to bend and shape our digital tools for quite some time. Like who here hasn't added a browser extension or two to make their online experience just a tad bit more comfortable? Like here's an example of a browser extension that lets you modify the styles of a website, and it's been there for a while. And now we have Arc Browser, which takes it to the next level, and it added like those website modifications as a first-class citizen in the browser. It's seamlessly integrated, it's easy to use, and we can argue here like how beneficial that is. Like there are two sides, like there are people who love this feature, and there are also those who notice that it's kind of operating on a black box and going behind the original designer's plans. But one thing is for sure, like we're moving towards more flexibility, and we have tools now that allow us to move on from those fixed apps, from those predefined apps. And maybe with like the Arc browser, the need for customizing website has been finally seen. But the problem is that it's still magical. Like a lot of tools are still for experts. Like let's go back to Arc. Like some of its features are still gated by users' ability to write JavaScript and CSS, or at least by understanding how the underlying HTML works. And there's this huge gap between technical versus non-technical users in terms of tailoring their experiences. But maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Like, why should only professionals take advantage of computing? And here is the moment when I finally want to talk to you about AI. So like, what does AI mean for software? Like so far we've been talking about AI in terms of like how it's going to affect our jobs. Like, are we going to lose our jobs? Or there's been another kind of conversations, which was how can we leverage AI to ship faster, to write more code, to write better code? How can we leverage Copilot or ChatGPT to its fullest? We even have like AI first code editor like Cursor right now, and there are more and more developer productivity tools that are focused on AI. But this digital world should be for everyone, and maybe we should try to bridge this gap between technical or non-technical users, or like with those with programming knowledge and those without, instead of making more tools for experts. So I think that everyone can be creative. And the question now is how can we actually empower everyone to not just consume, but to create and to have a say in their digital experience? Well, I think that with AI, we can make that possible because it pushes the boundaries of what's possible. Like non-technical users can now, they are not limited anymore by their lack of coding knowledge. They can design, they can build, they can translate their ideas into projects that previously was only possible by learning how to code. And all of that by harnessing AI, and all of that by using a spoken language. And as Andre perfectly put it, the hottest new programming language is English. So people can now use English or possibly other spoken language to do things that were previously not possible for them. And we already see examples of how to use a spoken language to generate UI or designs or even like full applications. Like Versal just released a project, but this is the project when you can like type a prompt and it gives you a ready UI. But it still targets developers. It gives you code that you can then use in your project. And I don't see a reason why we can't have the same thing, but for everyone, for end users that are not building products, but they just want to use products. And of course, this is going to have a lot of challenges in terms of development, but I will show you later that maybe it's not that difficult. And here's a small design prototype made by Oyoland, this is a design agency. And it comes from a blog post on the Malleable web, which is really great. I recommend checking it out. So in this prototype, you can basically type what you want. Like, for example, make this website look like, make Bing look like google.com. And it generates CSS that you can just apply to the website. And it does it like without any, it doesn't require you to have knowledge about the website or HTML. So anyway, the bottom line here is that with AI, people can actually have agency and they can craft products that wasn't, and like crafting those products wasn't that possible before. But that's just UI. Like, it's not that exciting. Like, I like to take this further. Like, why should we only be limited by some black box CSS changes? We are certainly past some kind of milestone in terms of like changing how our digital screens look like. We can change colors, we can change fonts, font sizes, and much more. But there is also a lot that we could possibly change as well. So what if we can think about software as playgrounds? Something we can like reshape, repurpose, redevelop. What if we can go away from just consuming? And there are tools that already do more than UI. Here's an example of Coda, where you can create your own workspaces and workflows, or something that is there's also very popular Notion, where you can also create your own workspaces and you can even add automations. And I don't know, like I use it for like variety of things. I use it for my personal reading list, but I also use it at my job to like basically manage the whole company. And there's also Potluck, something less known but extremely exciting. It aims to make it easy to build personal tools based on dynamic documents. And all of those tools, they don't just change looks. They let users play with the main information, make their own setups, and to create their own way of doing things. And I particularly like this quote from the Potluck announcement blog post that says that they want a world where people are in control of their computing experiences. They're also saying that people should be able to teach their computers the meaning behind their data and choose how that data gets transformed and displayed. So rather than designing specific use flows or like one-off use cases, these tools focus on building blocks, like software Legos. And what they do, they move applications from consuming and commanding to actually authoring. And that's quite an exciting thing to do. But that's just one set of applications. What if we want a similar experience everywhere else? How can we combine the idea of playgrounds with what I was talking about LLMs before? For example, here someone scraped a housing website to get something they wanted to export it as CSV. And why can't we make it easier to do things we want with applications and the data we use like out of the box without having to scrape websites? One example of that is Wildcard. So this is a browser extension for customizing web apps. So it shows a simplified view of the data in a web page. And it's being displayed as a table where you can directly like sort, filter the content. You can add annotations, and you can even use a spreadsheet style formulas to pull data from other websites. And this is nice. It's somewhat limited to in terms of like where you can use it, and because it's still kind of like a black box tool. But this is not a new thing. This has been around for a while, and that's that's also a tool that solves some of the needs people have. So okay, so we were talking about LLMs, about playgrounds, about going beyond UI changes. So there's one thing left to talk about, the API layer. So for those apps that users can change easily and that would allow for user-driven customizations, like not knowing how the data works is a big problem, because we don't want like this black box solution as with wildcard. We want to handle the customizations as first-class citizen in the applications. So we need something that offers clarity, precision, and is also flexible in terms of handling data. So here, I think GraphQL comes into the picture with a few strengths. Firstly, we have the schema that has all the information about the data, about relationships between the objects, and how they look like. Like the schema lets you see how the data is organized and what actions you can take on it. And if we provide that schema to a language model, it could generate queries or mutations or subscriptions that work for that schema. And we can also take it further. We can train models, our own models on our schemas. Well, you could say that that would be possible with like with other API solutions too, like as long as we have a spec. But what's cool about GraphQL specifically is that it gives you flexibility in terms of forming the requests. So there are no predefined endpoints. You ask and get as much or as little as you need. And that is especially useful for those customizable apps. So here's a really, really quick demo, something I have, I realized that might be very small. I'm not sure if I can make it bigger. But anyway, this is a graphical playground. Like this is the place where you can test your GraphQL queries and mutations. And I created like a very simple plugin where you can write a prompt in English, and it has information about the schema. It generates the query or mutation, and you can run it right away. And that works really, really well. Like LLMs are capable of doing that. So in short, I think that combining GraphQL and AI can really move Malleable research forward. And I think that GraphQL is the thing that lets us go from predefined applications with predefined APIs and resources to custom tools that we can use with different sets of our data. Okay, but how to actually do this? How to implement it? Like, you probably wonder how to create those apps from like a developer point of view, and I did too. So I started thinking about it in terms of like, maybe this can be a spectrum. Maybe it doesn't have to be like all or nothing. Maybe we can take it like slowly and move towards like more malleability step by step. And we don't really have to make the whole application malleable. Like, look at this example of Airbnb. Maybe I would like to make an app partially malleable. Let's say I want to empower users to customize the app, but I also want to have control over certain parts. And for example, in this Airbnb case, like what if I would like to customize this top filter, like with all the different housing options? What if I always want to only see, I don't know, cabins or like places in the mountains, and I'm never interested in, I don't know, places near the sea or amazing views? Though I probably am, but what if we can like take this malleability and think about it as a spectrum and like allow users to customize both the data and UI, but for certain parts of our applications. So I was thinking like, how would like work on that? How would like the framework for building malleable applications look like? So I paired with Daniel Rowe from Next framework, and we came up with this API that you basically have malleables. You can use the function malleable, which is just something that is gonna like collect all different parts of the application that can be customized. And you can use this, for example, on a GraphQL query or on a when we started talking about it, we decided to use Vue or on a like Vue template. So basically, the idea is that the application is written in that way that it has all those malleables. And when, for example, user customizes something in this application, we ask the language model and we provide all the malleables and possibly other context, and it gives us back the results. So, for example, for that query, if we ask the language model like with a prompt, it would give us a different GraphQL query, like that would be customized to what user exactly wanted. And the same for this Vue template. It would be customized to what user asked for. For example, user might have asked about give me only IDs and I want them to be displayed as a list with different colors, something like that. And here is a very, very short demo. So basically, this is just a prototype that we've built where I can type a prompt, and in that case, is I want name and IDs as a table, and I just got name and IDs as a table because it has information about the data. It has information about all the malleables. It knows where and what to change. So that was a sneak peek into that like Malleable work that we've been doing. But I also want to cover a few related projects because there were so many of them over the years. I picked a few that I find particularly interesting. So firstly, the like I think the most important thing to mention is that there's something like Malleable software, Malleable system collection, and it consists of a bunch of experts who are passionate about Malleable software. You can visit their website. There are a bunch of resources like related projects, research papers, or articles. And they also state exactly what are the rules of Malleable software. So we have, for example, easy to change. This is something we covered. It should be as easy to change the software as it is to use it. It should also allow for customer combination or reuse. We should have ownership and control over the data and the applications. It should be different in different contexts. So it should be possible that you modify an app and you take one part of this app and use it somewhere else, and it should behave differently in different contexts. There should be an open-ended potential, which means that there shouldn't be a limit. We should be able to do a lot with this Malleable software. You should be able to share it, and what's also most important, it should be thoughtfully crafted and fun to use. Another thing I wanted to mention that is kind of like in the same space, there is something called Solid, and it's a specification. This is just a screenshot from their website. It's a specification that lets people store their data securely in decentralized data stores called pods. So basically, they are moving towards more ownership and moving away from having one data pod per millions of users, as with, for example, Facebook or Twitter, and to have like one pod per user that can be controlled by the user, or even multiple ones. I think that's exciting because like a few days ago I had this problem that I wanted to share a Spotify playlist with someone, but that someone didn't use Spotify. They were using two different music applications, and that's like why it should be that way. Like it's just a playlist. I should be able to like very easily share it, and I shouldn't be limited by the fact that there are multiple different music applications. So I'm really excited about that project, and I think it's going to help with this kind of stuff. There's also something called WebStraits, and it's a web server where the pages it serves are collaboratively editable. So it means that all the modifications to the DOM are synchronized with the server, and they are synchronized with all the clients that are currently visiting the same web page. And I specifically like how they use the word substrate in that, because like web straight stands for web and substrate, and I really like the idea of creating those digital substrates. There's also Dynamic Land. It's uh, it's a research group, and they invented a new medium where people can work together, and they can literally use their hands to create software. They can create programs. They can brainstorm together, and they can do it by literally using pieces of paper. This is how it looks like. They are creating programs with this like pieces of paper and with their hands, and what's most important, they do this together. And this is something that allows for like any kind of like recombination and reuse. So there are of course more, and I really recommend visiting the Malleable collective website and see other related projects. But for now, let's wrap this up. So while the Malleable research talks about moving completely away from apps, I think that we can take it slowly. Like maybe we can start by making better apps, by making them partially malleable even, and maybe we can do something about like flexibility and answer people's needs that are much different depending on the person. So imagine a world where like every app is like a clay in your hands, and it's ready to be molded to fit your exact needs. And there's no more settling for good enough. And I believe that with the power of AI and technologies like GraphQL and something else, this future is closer than we think. So you can scan this QR code to visit like all the to see all the resources that I used in this talk. And thank you a lot.